You're watching Race to Power. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Tonight, we break down for you what's been happening in the UK. Prime Minister Keir Starmer seems to be hanging by a thread with more than 75 fellow Labour MPs up against him, demanding his We also talk about the now public rift within the AIADMK in Tamil Nadu, one that can change the state's political trajectory. We'll get you all about it on the show, but first let's talk about the UK. The political crisis has intensified for British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Despite mounting pressure, Starmer has refused to quit now his post. Instead, he has pledged to prove his doubters wrong after the crushing defeat in the local elections held last week. Remember, Starmer held a cabinet meeting at his official residence at 10 Downing Street earlier today. He informed his cabinet that he intends to, quote, stay put. As the meeting ended, Britain's Work and Pension Secretary, Pat McFadden, told the media that nobody from the cabinet has challenged Keir Starmer's leadership. Starmer also reiterated that so far, nobody in the Labour Party has initiated the required process to challenge his leadership. But the pressure on Starmer has been rising. Remember, as Miata Fanbule, a junior minister in the Housing and Communities Department, resigned from the government. Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips has resigned as well. Or 20% of the Labour MPs nominate a challenger. Now, in the current British Parliament, any challenge to Prime Minister Keir Starmer will require the support from 81 Labour MPs. And reports suggest that at least 83 Labour lawmakers have reportedly called for him to resign. Any challenging candidate should hold a seat in the Parliament. In fact, she or he will require the support from 20% of the Labour MPs and 5% of the local constituency Labour parties or affiliated trade unions. After that, Labour Party members and affiliated union supporters will vote to elect the new party leader. The post of the Labour Party leader and Prime Minister are separate. But as convention goes, both offices have been held by a single person. Let's also take a look at the list of possible candidates who could mount a leadership challenge to Keir Starmer. First up is Angela Rayner. Earlier served as the Deputy Prime Minister under Starmer, but resigned after she was found guilty of breaching ministerial code. Then you've got the leadership challenge that might come in from Wes Streeting. He's currently serving as the Health Secretary in Starmer's cabinet. In fact, Streeting has publicly denied his candidature to replace Keir Starmer, but reports suggest that he might as well consider it. Next up is Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. His candidature remains uncertain as he's not a member of the Parliament, but the scenario could change if he secures a parliamentary seat in a by-election. Another potential candidate could be Catherine West, who represents the Hornsey and Frere Barnet seat. She's one of the members of the Parliament that have openly called for leadership change. In addition to a dismal performance in the recent local elections, remember, polling numbers also suggest a grave political crisis for the Labour Party. Nigel Farage's Reformed UK is polling at first position with 28% support across the country. There has been a tight race for the second place between the Conservatives, Greens and Labour. All right, let me go to our correspondent from London. Ollie Barrett is joining us with the latest. Ollie, this seems to be a day of hectic parleying for there has been some sort of respite because no official leadership challenge has been launched yet by either Catherine West or Wes Streeting or any of the people whose names have been doing the rounds. Or should we be still concerned?
I think Keir Starmer will definitely be still concerned and absolutely won't feel like he has any respite. But he and his allies are launching something of a rearguard action. You mentioned the 80 plus MPs who have come out and publicly said that they think Keir Starmer should step aside or set out a timetable for his departure. There is also now a letter circulating signed by around 100 MPs who say they think that Keir Starmer should remain in post, and cabinet ministers who are supportive of the Prime Minister have also been out today making the case for why he should stay on and why there should not be a leadership challenge now. But Keir Starmer absolutely not out of the woods yet. If we were to see a really big name cabinet frontbencher resign their post in government, that could be a key moment in precipitating the end for Keir Starmer, even as he says he's going to fight on because a leadership challenge hasn't officially been triggered by anyone. So Keir Starmer won't be relaxing at this point at parliamentary session in which they will lay out their legislative agenda. That could be a very strange affair this time round, given the uncertainty about Keir Starmer's leadership. And the other thing to say about the Prime Minister and any sense of respite or what comes agenda I mentioned is potentially going to be hard for him to deliver. The radical change that many of his Labour MPs say is now necessary for the UK, again, would potentially be very hard to deliver as well. So the Prime Minister in a very, very tight spot indeed.
Ollie, I see, winds behind you. Perhaps these are winds of change, if at all it happens in the UK politics and for Keir Starmer. But I'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Ollie Barrett, for joining us with the latest. All right, with that, let me also welcome my guest on the show. Mark Brolin joins us. He's a political analyst and author, joining us live from London as well. Mark, welcome to WION.
I do expect Keir Starmer will be gone in a bit. As Ollie Barrett was saying, his authority has eroded significantly, and it's eroding by the minute, actually. And I think his key benefit at the moment is that his key rival, Andy Burnham, you were mentioning, West Streeting, one of the other key containers, they are pushing for an immediate resignation because that helps him. But Team Burnham appears to be stronger than Team West Streeting, and I think that. Walking.
They've given him time till September, Mark. Do you expect that to go him by that time and think this through, or do you expect that, that resignation coming in early?
I think he will have to strike a deal with Team Burnham to say that he will stay during a transition period and then Burnham will take over. But I think things can't carry on as they do right now. Without the authority, without support in Parliament, it's very hard to stay. Scenarios, and nobody can really know for sure what's going to happen. But I think the most likely scenario is that there will be some sort of deal, and he will have to plan for an exit, and perhaps he will be able to negotiate those extra few months. But he will surely be gone. But by the end of the year, he will surely.
As on the one hand, you've got the Andy Burnham faction. On the other hand, you've got the Streeting and West faction that has been vying for him to leave as the prime minister. Do you see that helping him at all? This entire factionalism within the Labour Party?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point, because I think that has been helping him actually already. He would probably have been gone already, possibly even 6 months ago, unless we had this division that has sort of kept him in power. And in a way, there is a similarity between what's happening in so many battle lines between different camps, and yes, that's the only thing that keeps him in power. Otherwise, he would have been gone for a long time ago.
And so quickly, my last question, Mark, to you: if and when Keir Starmer chooses
I think it does seem like Andy Burnham has the greatest support, not only among party members, but also possibly among the public. I think many people many voters have disliked Keir Starmer because he comes across as more of a technocrat. And Andy Burnham, he doesn't sound. He has a different vibe to him. The sound of him appears a bit more authentic and more like the people. So I think the only strong candidate now within the party that perhaps can reach out to the people, to the public a little bit better, that might be Andy Burnham. But then again, the country is turning probably right wing in the next election, and Andy Burnham is part of the left wing faction. So that is a problem. That's definitely a problem for him. This will benefit probably Nigel Farage. He will be the main beneficiary of this. So in that sense, it would make more sense from a tactical point of view to take from somebody from the right-wing side of the Labour Party. But that's not going to happen, I think.
All right, so let's wait and see how this moves forward. I'll leave it there. Mark Brolin, thanks very much for joining us on WION and sharing your perspective.
Pleasure.
All right, with that, let's move on and talk about the United States of America. President Donald Trump has vowed complete victory over Iran. In fact, he's already rejected Iran's response to the U.S. peace proposal, calling it stupid and garbage. Iran, on the other hand, has threatened to step up its uranium enrichment if war resumes. Between the fallout of war and the limitations of diplomacy, the political cost of a renewed attack on Iran remains high for the Senate. The Democrats will take the control of the Congress, and this essentially would make it difficult for Donald Trump to get his funding demands approved, not just for the war, but also for other contentious programs. The mood on the ground shows worrying signs for Donald Trump and his party. According to a poll conducted by Reuters Ipsos, 66% of Americans believe that Donald Trump has failed to explain his war goals in Iran. 30% of the Republicans also have the same opinion about the Iran conflict. The Iran war has triggered a price shock in global oil markets. Contrary to Trump's claims, 63% of the poll's respondents said that high gas prices have impacted their overall budgets, while only 36% of the people said that gas prices have not remain on the lower side. The president earlier said that he is under no pressure to end the Iran war. But upcoming elections are an inevitable pressure point for Trump. Over 1 year into his second term, the self-proclaimed peace president is eyeing an end to America's latest self-declared war. And the build up to the midterm elections is only going to toughen the challenge and the way forward for Donald Trump and the Republican Party. But what are you hearing from the Republican camp at the moment? The Iran war seems to be frustrating the US president. He himself is saying that he's gotten bored of it, but the impact and the ripple effect of it is being felt not just by American citizens but the entire world.
Yeah, that's a very valid assessment. And you were reading those polls, and it's very interesting to read between the lines. Americans are very dissatisfied with this war, primarily because it's affecting their pocketbooks. Remember, summer is a very high travel season here in the United States, and as you mentioned, around the world. And gas prices has been on the president's mind, the Republicans' minds, and of course, everyday Americans who want to, most of them, travel by car, even by plane. And so the issue of the Iran war, really these numbers are a byproduct of what's happening in the economy. And then you have inflation. In the month of April, for the first time, inflation outpaced wages by 0.2%. That's not good news for the Trump administration either, considering the fact that they came into office promising that they would curb inflation. So when you look at these polls, when Americans are asked whether Iran should have a nuclear weapon, overwhelming majorities say absolutely not. They feel the threat. However, when it comes to the president's handling of the war, it appears this unorthodox maximalist approach that the White House has been taking against Iran is very unpopular. Nonetheless, they both go together. Republicans, as you mentioned, are very concerned for the midterms. But of course, Democrats also have to find the right messaging because their challenge is switch sides, the ones that voted Republican, and vote Democrat.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see how it really moves forward for both parties who've been, grappling with their own set of challenges. I'll leave it there. Susan, thanks very much for joining us with the latest. With that, let's also tell you how a new poll shows that 1 in 4 Americans believe the April 25th shooting at the Washington Hilton Hotel was staged. Now, this comes as a 31-year-old man from California has pleaded not guilty to charges of trying to assassinate President Donald Trump at the White House gala. Remember, on the 25th of April, Cole Allen allegedly tried to assassinate President Donald Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington. He pleaded not guilty on Monday in a federal court. Remember, he faces 4 charges, including attempted assassination and assaulting a federal officer, and he could face life imprisonment if he's convicted. Prosecutors say he traveled from California with multiple weapons and fired a shot that wounded a Secret Service agent wearing a vest. The president and other officials were evacuated and Allen was quickly subdued. A status hearing is set for the 29th of June now. The incident marked the 3rd alleged attempt on Trump's life in less than 2 years. Meanwhile, the case has also triggered widespread online debate and conspiracy theory. The poll conducted among 1,000 respondents points to the growing spread of misinformation and false flag claims circulating online. The survey also highlighted clear differences across age groups. About as compared to 15% among those aged 65 and older. Researchers say the findings reflect a broader rise in conspiracy thinking online, with misinformation spreading rapidly across social media platforms and is gaining traction among the younger audiences in particular. In Tamil Nadu got a boost today when a faction of the AIADMK announced that it will extend support to the TVK government ahead of the crucial floor test on the 13th of May. AIADMK leader C.V. Shanmugam claimed that the party currently stands without any alliance, signaling severed ties with the Bharatiya Janata Party after has been paying courtesy calls to the leaders of other Tamil parties, and during his rounds, he paid Shanmugam a visit as well at his Chennai residence. The visit came hours after Shanmugam had declared his faction's support for Vijay. However, other AIADMK leaders have warned the Shanmugam faction of consequences should the party had been directed to vote against the TVK in Wednesday's floor test this week. He said that those who defy the order will face action. Now, this essentially highlights the growing rift within the AIADMK after the recent polls. Shanmugam had earlier publicly accused AIADMK General Secretary Edapadi K. Palaniswamy or EPS of attempting to explore a tie-up with the DMK. Shanmugam said that the AIADMK was passing through one of the most difficult phases in its history after suffering consecutive electoral defeats. Meanwhile, the TVK secured its first victory in the Assembly. Elected unopposed. Prabhakar, who was earlier a member of the AIADMK, parted ways with them ahead of the recent elections and he joined the TVK. Vijay has also appointed his astrologer, interestingly, Ricky Radhan Pandit Vetrival, as officer nation and direct assignments from the Chief Minister's office. With that, let's also talk about the state of Kerala. A week after the Congress-led UDF alliance stormed to power in Kerala, suspense and disagreements within the party over the chief ministerial phase continues even now. In a bid to diffuse tensions between the opposing factions, the Congress High Command summoned the former state party presidents as well as senior party leaders to New Delhi. This meeting is being seen as a final round of consultation between the party's top brass and Kerala leadership. Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee Chief Sunny Joseph said that white smoke can be expected soon, referring to the tradition of white smoke rising state's 140 seats, which is a commanding two-thirds majority. But since the declaration of the results, hectic lobbying has been underway by different factions within the Congress party in Kerala. The first camp is that of the All India Congress Committee General Secretary for Organisation, K.C. Venugopal, who's considered a close confidant of Rahul Gandhi. Then you've got Kerala's former opposition leader in the State Assembly, V.D. Satheesan. And the third one is his predecessor as leader of the opposition in the state, Ramesh Chennithala. To New Delhi for meetings with the Congress High Command. They presented their respective cases, but the party leadership is yet to announce a final decision. And amid all of this suspense, supporters of various chief ministerial candidates, especially those of K.C. Venugopal and V.D. Satheesan, began. And reports also state that the Congress High Command wants the fervour among the party workers in Kerala to subside before they announce the next chief minister. All eyes are now on the top brass meeting where the final decision was likely to be announced. That he is not stepping down as the president. This, remember, comes after an impeachment committee had been ordered to reprobe allegations on Ramaphosa that accuse him of stealing and hiding more than $500,000 in cash that had been stashed in a sofa at his game ranch. In a televised address to the nation, Cyril Ramaphosa said that he would legally challenge a parliamentary report which found credible evidence of wrongdoing on his part. The South African president also said that the allegations against him are based on hearsay. Ramaphosa's decision comes after the South African parliament said that it would establish the impeachment committee in compliance with the decision of the country's apex court last week. South Africa's top constitutional court said that the 2022 parliament vote that blocked impeachment proceedings against Ramaphosa hold an impeachment vote. Meanwhile, the opposition parties have urged Cyril Ramaphosa to step down from his position while these processes unfold. The allegations against the South African president first surfaced back in 2022, when a former head of the country's security agency accused the president of money laundering and other offenses. It later emerged that thousands of dollars of cash had been stolen in 2020 and had been However, questions emerged as to why the money was stashed in a sofa. The 2022 independent report also revealed that Cyril Ramaphosa used With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Race to Power. As always, we will keep getting you news and analysis from political developments in India and across the world. Thank you very much for joining us at the moment. Bye-bye.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yowon.com.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 100 platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
In-depth coverage of global issues. Deeper